So let me share something with you that's probably gonna make you judge me. And honestly, I don't care. I'm gonna share it anyway. So I'm the type of person, I don't want to be, the older I get, the less I want to be bound by much of anything. And one thing that I've been thinking about lately in particular that I do not care to be bound by is like a house, a home. I just want to be able to float through the world as I please, go from here, go from there, just at my leisure. About it started in it was 2023. So in 2023, first in 2022, at the end of 2022, I sold my house. It was a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. And, before owning a home, that was a goal that I had to have checked off my list before I hit 30. And I did that. And I enjoyed my home. I loved it. Like, I loved the kitchen. I loved that upstairs I had my own little office. I loved that I had this big bathroom, this big walk-in closet. I loved that both of my kids were able to have their own space in their own room, their own bathroom. And I loved the size of my room. I loved having movie nights almost every Friday with the kids. All those things about having a home. I love the backyard where the kids could go out back and play, the trampoline, all of that stuff. I enjoyed it. However, when I sold my house at the end of 2022, it made me realize I don't think that's something I want to do again. I don't want to own a home again. And if I do decide to own a home, it's going to have to be like a tiny home, like just big enough for me to do all the essential stuff in. And I don't care to have it no bigger than that for any other reason. And my mom used to say stuff like that all the time. When she was like, she wish she just had a little tiny home that she could stay in. She used to say that all the time when I was like a teenager. And I was like, okay, that's crazy. You don't want nobody to come visit you. You don't want. And now that I am older, I understand why. Now, I don't think my mama meant that she didn't want nobody to come visit her. I just believe she was talking about wanting her space because my mom is a caregiver. She always has people around her. Since the day I got here on this earth up until now, my mama has always had somebody living with her, like always. So I don't think that's what she meant by that. And also, I still want people to come and visit me. So I've seen when people hear tiny home, they think like a little crate, a little box. And some of them can be like that, but there are some nice size tiny homes too, where it can be very minimal, but still big enough for people to come and visit you and stay in and stuff like that. So if I do get a home, that is what I will be getting. But right now, and for the last 3 or so years, my mind has been stuck on an RV. So back to what I was saying. In 2023, I thought I sold my house. I just traveled from state to state. I think I did like 25 states. I just got on the road. Every state I went to, I got a thing for libraries. So I went to all these different states to visit all these different libraries. Just sit there, get me a book, read. The biggest library I seen on my travels was one in Topeka, Kansas. It was so big. It had like 3 or 4 different levels. And it had like a museum inside, a playroom for the kids. It had a whole bunch of stuff. It had cafe. It had so much stuff. It was so big. But I think the prettiest, well, it wasn't even the library that was pretty. But the scenery around the library is what made me enjoy going to that library so much. Well, both of them, really. So I'm thinking of 2 with the very pretty scenery. And it was the one that I went to in Boulder, Colorado. It had like this stream and other buildings, and then on the mountain, to the side on the mountain, it had like, I forget what they call. It's a school for a particular type of people to go to, and I forget what it's in Boulder, Colorado. So if I'm gonna look it up when I get ready to post this video, and I'll put it in the description. But it was so beautiful. And then the other library was in Colorado too, and I can't think of the name of it, but oh my God, the scenery was just so beautiful. I can't think of the name of the city, but it was a city where, unfortunately, the mass shooting with the kids, the elementary school kids, happened. So I'll put that name of the city in the description too. But those are very beautiful libraries, and I just like to go. I'm not here to talk about libraries and stuff like that, but I'm just here to paint the picture of why I like to be free, because I just want to be able to go at my leisure. Just do. I enjoy traveling. I want to see the world. I like all of those things. The only thing that really has me bound, or that would have me bound to a particular place, is right now the job that I do. One of the jobs that I do, I have to have like a home address to do that job. And then another thing is my clothes, like the thing that I love, and my books and my journals. Even though I think I kind of found a workaround for that stuff too. But one of the things that I enjoy as much as I enjoy traveling and being free to just float around as I please is having my clothes and being dressed nice, and my books and my journals, because I like to write and all that type of stuff. Love reading, even though I can, do Audible on my phone. But with my books and my clothes, not my books, but my journals and planners, it ain't nothing like, pen to paper when it comes to that. So those are the things that I think I will always have. But the rest of that stuff, I don't care for it. As a matter of fact, and people think I'm crazy about it when I say stuff like that. Like I don't care to have a home anywhere to live, especially with my kids. Like my son, my daughter's already grown technically. My son, he'll be 15 this year, and as soon as he turns 18, it's like, I'm probably gonna get an RV, and if we need a bigger place when y'all want to come visit me or something like that, I'll be in a hotel or something like that. But after I sold my house, a few months after I sold my house, I got a call from this guy. It wasn't nobody that I know personally, but I just remember it was a man, and he was trying to, get me to get another home. And I was like, no. And he was like, man, where you live? I said, well, actually, I'm thinking about getting an RV or a tiny home. He said, huh? I said, yeah. He's like, oh, okay. Well, I'll follow up with you in a few weeks. And I was like, okay. Thinking to myself, the answer's still going to be the same if you follow up. I didn't think he was going to follow up, but he did. So he called me. He said, okay, ma'am, let's, talk about getting you a home. I said, no, I don't want a home. I don't want to own another home. I just did that. I don't want to do it again. And he was like, man, where will you live? I was like, I'm actually looking into getting an RV. That man got so annoyed with me. He said, well, good luck with that, and hung up. I said, okay. Like, that is not everybody's dream. Everybody don't want to have a home. Everybody don't want to be tied down with materialistic things. Now, clothes and books and stuff are materialistic things, but I want to choose what materialistic things that I'm tied down to, and a house is not one of them, unfortunately, unless it's like a tiny home. And I've shared this idea with like my mama and some of my friends, and be like, girl, you crazy. And I'd be like, okay, whatever. But outside of not wanting to be bound by a home, and my mind might change when I get older. Who knows? But right now, that's not the vision I have for myself. Outside of not wanting a home and wanting to be bound by things, I really like the idea of keeping that money in my pocket and doing other things with it, like being able to travel. And even when it comes to travel, I'm not spending all crazy on that too, because baby, my favorite thing to do up there with traveling and all the other things that I mentioned is get the best full package trip for the cheapest price. I think I did a 3-day trip to New York for like $200. Like the round trip ticket was like between $60 and $80, and then the hotel was like maybe like 100. So it was probably a little. It was more than $250. It was maybe like 119, 120 some dollars for the hotel that I got, and it was a nice hotel, like real nice hotel. Like I didn't have a rental car, so that's another reason why I was like $250. So it wasn't much, but I think even when I did 2 weeks in Colorado when I was out there, I got a rental car for 2 weeks for $399, and then a trip that I just went to in California back in November. I can't. That was like a cabin trip that included a whole bunch of stuff, so I can't really count that. Oh, I can, but that's something separate. But I got a luxury car for those. I can't remember. I think it was 3 or 4 days, and the round trip plane ticket for that was like $200. A luxury car, plane trip, whatever. It was like $200. So I love to travel, and it's like a game to me. I like to see how to get the big bang for the least buck. But anyway, I was so good. I would be so good at doing that. Like I honestly, and that's something I still might do. Was thinking about being something like a travel agent to help people just be able to, people who love to travel, to be able to go as they please and not, break the bank. Like, because you only get one life and you don't want to be confined to one place. You want to explore. You want to see. Well, I'm specifically talking about people who like to, like myself. You want to get out there. You want to do all those things. Like, there's so much of the world to see. So, yeah. So, outside of that, I like the thought of keeping most of my money to myself, to be able to travel, to be able to invest, and to be able to help those around me when they're in need, like when they need money, because money is important, but I value time. I like making money now. I like making a lot of it. But my time freedom is more important to me versus making a whole bunch of money to be able to spend it on things outside of travel and the small things that bring me joy, like reasonable price clothes from Fashion Nova and journals and planners and books and stuff like that. So the thought of being able to keep my money, most of my money, to do other stuff versus spending it and using it on things that I feel are just binding me, I like that idea. Yeah, I really do. So I used to like kind of pull back when, we having discussions around stuff like that. People talking about buying homes. I'm just sitting over there and I'm like, baby, I don't want no home. But now I jump in on the conversation too. And if people think I'm crazy for saying I want to stay in an RV or a tiny home or anything like that, then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to argue or try to persuade nobody or let nobody persuade me out of that, because this is what I want to do. Like what works for me may not work for somebody else, and what work for other people may not work for me, and it's that's fine. And also, I think one thing that really got me curious about being unbound by a house is, like, in 2020 I met this guy, and he was just casually talking about being unhoused, not homeless, but unhoused. It's a slight difference. So he would live in his vehicle. I think he had like a Tesla, and he had I can't remember if he had 2 cars or just the 1 car. And then when he would rent, if he had 2 cars, and he would rent his extra car out on Turo, or his main car out on Turo. I can't remember how it go, but anyway, because it's been a while and I don't remember all the details, but I do have that I don't even think he talked about it in that. He might have, but I do have that podcast up on a podcast that I used to have a few years ago called Redefining. What was it? The Wealthy Place podcast. So that link is still up. I mean, that podcast is still up if you're curious, and I'll link that here too. Oh my God, I got a lot of stuff I got to put in here for people who are interested, if you're interested. But so he had homes now. He had like an actual house, like 3 apartments. Wait, no, I think I got, yeah, I'll share the link. He had between 3 or 4 like homes, that he owned or whatever, homes, apartments, but it's 3 or 4 of them. And he was doing that with Toro with the car, and he was just getting all the money in from that, and he wouldn't stand in none of them. Like, he do Airbnb, all that type of stuff, or rent out and all that type of stuff, and then he would live in his car and just get all the money. And his goal was he wanted to be a millionaire by the time he was 30. So I think he was like 25, 26 at the time, and that was like in 2020, 2021. So with him doing all those things, I'm positive that he's probably hit that $1 million by now, because he was steady adding on stuff, steady adding on assets to, generate money. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, dang, that sounds like something I would do if I, didn't have kids. But it was just interesting to me. Like, I'm not one of the type of people that just turn my nose up at how other people decide to move through or navigate through life. Like, no, like, and I thought it was a pretty smart idea. Like, yeah, if that's your goal, like, that's why it's so important to have a vision, your own vision, and not a vision you trying to live up to based off what society says. And yeah, so I just wanted to come on here and yap about that, because I've been feeling it in my spirit again that, like, I just want to be able to float between here and there, and like, and then even I mentioned Glow in a few of the videos. It's Glow, GLO, and Tenmo. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. It's ATANMO. And she's like that. Like, she's like, move freely about. She get all these different places in spots in Asia and all that stuff like that. And that's kind of how I want to move freely through the world. Like, yeah. And I kind of started doing it with my kids at a young age too, to the point to now with my daughter, she tried to plan a few trips for herself throughout the year. And she actually included me in one she's going on the next time. She want to take me to Louisiana in May, so I'm excited about that. And it's around travel and food, and that's what we both like, traveling and eating. And so I can't wait to do that. It's the Keithley Family Day that we're going to be going to. Can't wait to go. So I like that they and my son, the first time I took them to New York, baby, he wanted to go back to live. I was like, this is just a trip. It's just a trip. We can't stay here. It's just a trip. But the fact that they just like to get up and go to, don't feel a fear of venturing out, I like that they got that through the experience that I love to have. I'm glad I'm able to share that with them. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about. Like, what is something that you like or love the idea of that people might judge you for, or look at you like, girl, that's crazy for, or man, that's crazy for? Please feel free to share in the comments below. And yeah, that's all I have. So if you're new here, my name is Latrice. Here's where I think out loud, reflect honestly, and name patterns that keep us stuck. If anything here resonates with you, feel free to take what you need. And if it doesn't, please feel free to leave it. And If you feel like we're aligned, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, the hype button, all the things. And I will be back tomorrow.